Christmas, everyone. Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. If you are celebrating today, I hope that you are enjoying all of the festivities. For those who have watched my videos before, welcome back. For those watching for the first time, thanks for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. Since it's getting close to the new year, I wanted to go through some of the books that are going to be published in January of 2021 that I'm really looking forward to. There are so many great books coming out next year. I have 11 books to share with you, and as usual, they are all diverse when it comes to authors, genres, and topics. The publishing dates that I have are the Canadian or US publishing dates. They were accurate at the time that I did this recording of the video, but they are subject to change, so make sure that you check with the publishers. The first 3 books will be coming out on January 5th, 2021. First up is Nora, a love story of Nora and James Joyce by Nuala O'Connor. I've already read this one and I really enjoyed it. Nuala O'Connor is an Irish writer, and this book is the imagined story of Nora Barnacle, who was a maid at Finn's Hotel in Dublin in 1904. She meets James Joyce, an aspiring writer, and this is the story of their lives together. I will say more about this book when I do my December wrap-up, but I will say that this for now. It might seem early, but I think that this is going to be one of the best historical fictions of 2021. I thought that this was a great read, and if you are interested in the lives of writers, then this is one to definitely check out, and I love that it's from Nora's perspective. Next is the fiction novel The Art of Falling by Danielle McLaughlin. In this novel, Nessa McCormick and her husband are trying to put their lives and their marriage back together after her husband has had an affair. Nessa has some great opportunities professionally, and it just seems like her life is finally taking a change for the better. Then an old friend comes back into Nessa's life, and a lie that she has been living with may come to light, so she needs to decide what to do. The third book coming out on January 5th is called The Push by Audrain. This is a psychological drama. Blythe Connor is a new mother, and she is determined to be the supportive mother she never had. Instead, she doesn't really have a connection with her new baby, Violet, and she is convinced that there is something wrong with Violet. Blythe's husband says she is imagining things, and the more he dismisses her fears, the more Blythe begins to question her own sanity. And when she has a second baby, Blythe has the natural maternal connection and instincts she'd always dreamed of. But when life as they know it is changed in an instant, the devastating fallout forces Blythe to face the truth about herself, her past, and her daughter. This one sounds very intriguing to me. Next up are 4 books coming out on January 12th. First is The Other Mother by Matthew Dix, and this is a fiction YA I've heard really good things about. 13-year-old Michael Parsons is dealing with his father's death, his mother's new husband, and having to look after his 2 younger siblings while his mother takes on extra shifts. Then one day Michael wakes up and his mother is gone, and in her place is an exact duplicate mother, the other mother. No one else seems to notice the real version is missing, and this is a coming-of-age story of a boy struggling with an unusual disorder that poses unparalleled challenges, but also offers him unique opportunities. So this one sounds really interesting to me, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. The Crash Palace by Andrew Wedderburn is about Audrey Cole, who loves to drive. From the second she learned to drive, she's always found a way to hit the road. And years ago, she found herself chauffeuring around a B-list band, and that's how she found herself at the Crash Palace. And the Crash Palace is like this isolated lodge outside the big city where people pay to party in the wilderness. Then one night, Audrey finds herself testing the doors of parked cars in her neighborhood. And before she knows it, she's headed north in the dead of winter to the now abandoned Crash Palace in a stolen car. And she's unable to stop herself from confronting her past. So supposedly Audrey is a really unique character, which of course I love that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she's really all about. Next up is a book that I'm going to be gushing about in my wrap-up in a week. You guys, The Dangers of Smoking in Bed is by Argentinian author Mariana Enriquez, and it was translated by Megan McDowell. This is a collection of short stories. All the stories are horror stories, and they are startling and uncomfortable, but in the best way. There are themes of jealousy, revenge, fear, death, and mental illness. The writing is exquisite, so much so that I had to get Enriquez's other book, which is called Things We Lost in the Fire. So if you like horror and you don't mind feeling a little queasy, this collection of short stories is definitely for you. The last book that I want to talk about that's coming out on January 12th is not a new book, but one that is finally coming out in paperback. I've been waiting a very long time for that. The Moment of Lift is by Melinda Gates. The subtitle for this is How Empowering Women Changes the World. This is a non-fiction memoir about how Melinda Gates realized the link between empowering women and healthy societies. And in this book, she shares conversations that she's had with women from all over the world and ways that we can make a difference for women to have opportunities. Gates believes that all lives have equal value and gender equity is the lever that lifts everything, and we can all play a part in this. I have been waiting, like I said, for this to come out in paperback forever, so I will be reading that as soon as I can get my hands on it. The next books will be coming out on January 19th. The Divines by Ellie Eaton is a debut fictional novel. Some are calling it a coming-of-age YA novel, and I've seen some mixed reviews for it, but I am interested enough in it that I think I will check this one out. The story goes between present-day Los Angeles and 1990s Britain. Josephine is the main character, and 15 years ago she was a divine at an elite English boarding school. Now she's in her 30s, and she hasn't spoken to another divine since the day the school shuttered its doors in disgrace. Josephine finds herself returning to the school, which brings up a lot of memories of the final weeks there, and she becomes obsessed with her teenage identity and the forgotten girls of her past. The more Josephine recalls, the further her life unravels. This sounds like a really good and maybe intense read to me, so I'm hoping to check it out as well. Meet Me in Bombay by Jenny Ashcroft is a historical fiction novel with a love story. It begins on New Year's Eve in 1913 in Bombay, India. Madeline Bright is from England and she's new to India when she meets Luke Devereaux. Maddie begins to love Bombay and Luke begins to love Maddie. Maddie's mother definitely does not approve of this relationship, and World War I will soon begin, and this means that Luke will have to fight. And Luke promises that they will meet again in Bombay, but the question is, will he be able to keep his promise? This book is getting a lot of really great reviews, and I like the setting, and I did say that I wanted to read more romances next year, so maybe this will be one of my historical fiction romances that I can get to. The last two books I want to share will be published on January 26th. The first one is a book I mentioned in a tag video I did earlier this week, and that is Gutter Child by Jael Richardson. This is another novel that I've been waiting a long time for. Jael Richardson is a Canadian author, and I know that she has a passion for diverse books and authors. She is the executive director of The Fold, which is the Festival of Literary Diversity. It takes place in Brampton every year, and it is fantastic. This is a debut novel for Richardson, and it takes place in an imaginary world. In this world, the vulnerable people are in the gutter, and they're forced to buy their freedom by working off their debt. There is also the mainland, and that's where the privileged are. So as part of a social experiment, the main character, Elamina, is one of 100 babies taken from the gutter to be raised in the land of opportunity. Elamina is a modern-day heroine who must find the strength to kind of forge forward in the future and go against all the systems that are trying to shape her destiny. And it seems like this is a timely book with a really good message, and I've actually pre-ordered this one. Finally, the last novel I want to talk about is How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House. So just the title caught my attention, and this is another debut novel. It's by Caribbean writer Cherie Jones. It takes place in Barbados, and Lala is the main character. This is a story of friction and clashing between the locals and the tourists. A burglary of one of the Baxter Beach mansions sets off a chain of events with terrible consequences. And there are themes of crime, desperation, greed, poverty, grief, and violence. So this is getting some great reviews as well, and I'm really looking forward to reading this one. That is my list as we begin a new year. There are so many great books coming out in 2021. I will try and keep up to date and share some of my most anticipated books with you as we go along in the new year. I will leave a list of all of the books I mentioned in this video in the description box below. Please let me know in the comments if you are interested in any of these books, or let me know, what your most anticipated books of 2021 are. I look forward to chatting with you. For those who are in lockdown or like me heading into lockdown tomorrow, please take care of each other and of yourselves. If you can concentrate, then I wish you some good reading. Wishing all of you and those that you love a very Merry Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.